Welcome to Sunshine Cathedral's Queer God Squad. It's Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. I am Bishop Darrell Watkins, the senior minister here at Sunshine Cathedral. With me today is Sunshine Cathedral's executive minister. He's also my husband, Bishop Robert Griffin. Sunshine Cathedral's Minister of Connections, Reverend Dr. Ann Atwell, and Sunshine Cathedral's Minister of Education, Reverend Kevin Tisdall. Visit sunshinecathedral.org to learn more about our progressive faith community and how you can be a part of it no matter where you live in the world. And if you live in South Florida, be sure to check out the Sunshine Cathedral Center for the Performing Arts, offering entertainment for the LGBTQ+ community to benefit the LGBTQ+ community. To learn more about Sunshine Cathedral, make prayer requests, or offer donations, go to sunshinecathedral.org. Queer God Squad was created by Hotspots Happening Out to support our mission to explore the value of faith in the LGBTQ community. In 2025, we are celebrating the 40th anniversary of Hotspots Magazine, the 25th anniversary of Queer News Tonight, and we produced the 25th anniversary of Stonewall Pride Parade and Festival on June 14th. We are the largest nonprofit LGBTQ media organization in America, and we encourage you to support our mission to inform, entertain, and educate our community and allies. If you enjoy the Queer God Squad, please share this or other episodes with your friends, family, and social media communities. This is the Sunshine Cathedral Perspective. Bishop asks for merciful treatment of LGBTQ folk and refugees. POTUS calls her nasty. The gospel was clearly proclaimed at the National Cathedral on January 21st during a homily by Bishop Marion Budde. She didn't get partisan or combative. What she did, with grace, courage, and pastoral authority, was remind the powerful that the powerless are afraid right now, and she pleaded for mercy on behalf of the fearful and hurting. In measured tones and polite verbiage, she modeled the golden rule, treat others the way you'd want to be treated, and the great commandment, love everyone. What shepherd of Jesus' sheep wouldn't do just that? Isn't that our message no matter who is in the room? Oh, and did I mention Donald Trump was in the room? Well, because he wasn't praised, and worse, heaven forbid, was asked to be kind, Mr. Trump called the homily boring. Later, on his social media platform, fully on brand I might add, he verbally attacked the bishop, calling her a radical hardline Trump hater, ungracious, nasty, and not compelling, or smart. Of course, Trump has a long habit of calling women who are critical of him nasty and or not smart. His misogyny is consistent. Years ago, when Trump, seemingly as a publicity stunt, posed in front of a church in Budde's diocese holding a Bible upside down, she complained that his use of the church space without clearing it with the diocese was inappropriate. When Trump was seemingly shot, Bishop Budde said that she was praying for him. A woman who prays for her enemies and asks people in power to restrain their power toward the vulnerable doesn't sound like a radical hater of any kind. In fact, as I said at the start, she seems to be modeling the gospel, which is antithetical to everything Trump stands for, at least in his public persona. Well done, Marion Budde. Keep preaching love and mercy. Only nasty people will ever call that nasty. So, no, her name ain't boring. It's Marion Budde, Bishop if you're nasty. She is just a model of pastoral decorum, I think. I couldn't have done what she did. I have a lot of skills. I have oratory skills. But I could not look him in the same room just feet away and say, please do a nice thing. Mr. President, there are people who are hurting. Please be nice. That was so brilliant and so courageous and so amazing. But I would have either had to ignore him or talk all kinds of shit about him right there in front of him. Or I don't know, I couldn't. She was so calm and cool and in control that he or anyone could call that inappropriate or nasty. It's just gaslighting. It's just a lie. I could not have been that kind. I would have, if he'd said I had been ugly or nasty or mean, he'd probably be underselling it. But she was the model of grace. She just said, you've said, that you believe that you survived that attack, that bullet attack, providentially. So in the name of our God,
buddy,
which is very gracious, because I'm not sure you can spell God, but in the name of our God, please be merciful. If God showed you mercy and saved you, which that's not how God works, by the way, God's not saving this one from getting shot, and not the laws of physics don't change themselves for the president. But in any way, if you're thinking God was merciful to you, could you please think of these people, these families who are hurting and they're scared, LGBTQ people, trans people, immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers. Can you just be mindful that they're very afraid and show some mercy? This infuriated him, which shows that he is, how could that possibly be aggravating? Now, he can say, she didn't tell me what to do, and just not do it. But that he was scalded by the very suggestion that he might try to summon some sort of human decency. So there was not a good look on him, for sure. Now, what she did was, some people said she should not have been allowed to do that. This thing is her church.
Yes.
She stood in her pulpit, shared her message. And the National Cathedral is the cathedral of the Diocese of Washington, D.C. That's what she's bishop of. So allowed, my foot. But also what she did was share the gospel. The gospel of Jesus Christ is good news for the poor. It's good news to the poor and the oppressed. If what you have to say isn't good news to the hurting and the marginalized and the vulnerable, then it's not the gospel of Jesus. So when she says there are people who are hurting, there are people who are powerless, there are people who are afraid for their safety, for their lives, for their families, can you be mindful of that? That is so much nicer than John the Baptizer would have said it. That is probably nicer than the way Jesus would have said it. It is certainly nicer than the way the Apostle Paul would have said it. And so she was completely, I promise you it was nicer than the prophet Amos would have said it. She was completely on message with the gospel, but much kinder than a lot of the original prophets and apostles and writers would have been in her shoes. So if you're going to talk about the Bible, you're going to hear love your neighbor. You're going to hear pray for your enemies. You're going to hear turn the other cheek. You're going to hear put away your sword. You're going to hear you feed them. They're hungry, you feed them. You're going to hear if you love me, feed my sheep. You're going to hear take up your cross and follow me. You're going to hear welcome the stranger. You're going to see Jesus touching the untouchable. You're going to see Jesus saying, not mass support the children, but let the children come to me. If you're going to hear the Bible, you're going to hear anti-Trumpism. And if that annoys you, and it gets to, you do you, boo. But if that annoys you, you are a Trumpist and not a Christian.
Wow. What he said and more. I just want to, for a second, look at the reaction to what Bishop Buddy did. Trump, we expected him to be just as ugly and nasty as possible.
On brand.
On brand.
Yep.
What is bothering me even more is that there are so many people out there who have bully pulpits, so to speak, who are attacking the bishop for speaking truth to power. I don't understand how you can listen to that message of grace and then turn around and say that she wasn't following the Bible. She wasn't following any kind of mandate that should be followed as a Christian leader. No, she did exactly what she was supposed to do. And for him to call a service boring, it's probably one of the few services that he actually stayed awake for. So
He did not off on that one.
yeah, there's that. And what's interesting is another commentator said, well, if you have so much trouble with the Episcopal Church, why is your son in an Episcopal school? I didn't know that Barron was in an Episcopal school, and hopefully he's learning things that he will never hear in his home. So all in all,
His third marriage was in an Episcopal church.
and officiated by an Episcopal pastor, of course. So yeah, America, I'm calling this right now our new reality. And I'm calling on people of faith, especially people who wear a collar, who speak to congregations in any way about the love of God. And the golden rules and loving your neighbor. This is the time when you're supposed to be speaking up as loudly as possible. You cannot be quiet in the face of this ugliness. You have got to tell your congregations the truth. And the truth is that the gospel calls for us to do everything that Bishop Watkins talked about. Taking care of each other, taking care of those who can't take care of themselves, protecting the immigrant, protecting those who can't get their next meal. We have a responsibility, and over the next few years, you, pastor, you, rabbi, you, imam, you, spiritual leader, will be tested, and we will see what you do.
All right. I want to talk for just a moment, though, about Bishop Buddy's most recent book. I can't remember the exact title, but something about being brave. I don't remember the exact.
It's on back order. You can get it right now. It's on back order.
I actually have it.
Nice. You get audio, but the principle back order.
But I
the world wants
actually
it.
read the introduction in the very first part just recently. And she talks about being brave and what it takes to be brave. And being brave isn't something that just happens overnight.
No.
It's a lifetime of work. It's an intentionality. It's being mindful that when you see things where people are being hurt, where people are being targeted, people who are vulnerable, that you have to stand up and you have to speak out. Now, is it generally in a public forum? No. It's frequently very small private matters, but you have to speak out. And you make that mindset that you're going to do that. Whatever happens, we have to be brave. We have to speak out. And that's exactly what she did in the most public way. She spoke out. And you're right, Reverend Kevin. Clergy people, everybody, if you see somebody vulnerable who's being hurt, suck it up, be brave, speak out. That is going to be required of us.
Yes,
It is.
Going to be required of us
Yes.
for the next
And yes, it's scary, but you have to be afraid to be brave.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, it's not bravery.
And I want to invite you, if you have not done so, to listen to the two preachers who prayed at the inauguration. Billy Graham and the other, Franklin Graham and the other one. And just go back and read what they prayed
Okay, I've not done that.
and contrast to what she did at the National Cathedral.
Okay.
It was
Overtly
clearly partisan.
Yes.
Very partisan, very political. God has anointed you, boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
And you take that and look at what she did night and day. Now, what I also appreciated about the bishop, and I'm pretty sure all Episcopal priests, they take this vow and as a part of their baptismal vow, and I just want you to read, I want to read for you the line that they affirm as they're becoming priests and probably reaffirm as becoming bishops. It says, "Will you strive for justice and peace among all people and respect the dignity of every human being?" And the response is, "We will, with God's help." That is from the Book of Common Prayer for the Episcopal Church. And I'm just going to say she lived into her baptismal and covenantal vow.
Yep.
She lived into it. Vernon Dozier will be proud of her.
We at our bishop consecration, our Episcopal consecration, we took that
Very
same
same
vow.
That's what I mean. It's a very same one. And so this is not something that Bishop Buddy did flip it. This is not something that she did, oh, I'm going to take advantage of this. This is not something that she did because she's on a national. She did it because it's part of her vow. That's her calling.
Her job.
That's her job. And she held firm to speaking her truth to power and honoring her office as the bishop at the National Cathedral and for the diocese. And so I nothing but kudos for her. And I am just watching the response from a lot of clergy right now.
Yes.
And people who are calling her things or clergy like, is that how you speak to a fellow colleague?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, she's been demonized. She has been shunned. It would not surprise me if security is all around her at this point because of things that fall out of these kinds of situations. But
People are praying for her safety.
Yeah.
You have to.
But yet she lived out her vow. And may we all be able
May
to
we
live
all
out
do it.
And this is the sign. This is the sign of this sickness, the soul sickness that Bishop Robert calls a political pandemic. But the soul sickness that we are suffering from, she didn't say to arms. That happened 4 years ago when the Capitol was stormed.
Yes.
And somehow people who supported that are mad at her. She didn't say to arms. She said, have mercy.
Have mercy.
She didn't say how. She didn't say how long, to whom. She just said, think about this, care about your fellow human beings, and be merciful. That's it. And if that is what pissed you off, if that is what has just tormented you, if that's why you can't sleep at night, if that makes you want to hurt somebody, then that's not a good sign. That is not a good. Your humanity is damaged. I'm not talking about your faith. I don't care about that. We made all that up, all this religion stuff. And if it's helping us do good stuff, then good for it. If it's making you mean, do something else. So I'm not even talking about religious faith or scriptures. If you hear kindness and it makes you mad, you are broken. And that's where we are now.
Yeah.
Now you've been nurtured to that. You've been programmed for that. You've been encouraged for that. Dare I say, you've been groomed for that. But at some point, you have to wake up and say, "Oh my God, this is not who I want to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be just the embodiment of hate that even to bring up the word mercy makes me apoplectic. That's not who you want to be. That's how you." The producer put up a thing a while ago about woke on steroids or something, or woke gone crazy. Elon Musk, whose opinion I can't think of 4 people whose opinion I respect less, but for him to say, "Oh, she got the woke mind virus real bad." First of all, learn an adverb, but whatever. She's got. Secondly, this is what at this service for the Dr. King Memorial Service at the King Center, his daughter was one of the speakers, and this is what she said about that, about being dismissed as woke. She said, "To be woke is to be aware of oppression and committed to justice."
All right.
When a few years ago someone said, and the reason I know this is because their former spouse is here and told us, said, "Oh, I would never go to that woke church. Just dismiss this as a woke church." I want to put it in the mission statement now. I want to put it on the sign. I want people to know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because
We be woke.
Yeah, to be woke. Well, first of all, the whole resurrection narrative is about waking up and getting right back at it, facing the powers of evil and oppression and injustice. So, yeah, to be woke. But Reverend Bernice King, to be woke is to be aware of oppression and committed to justice. Sounds like being Christian, or what Christians should be.
Yes.
Indeed.
Well, that's today with the Queer God Squad.
Before we go, we want to invite you to join Sunshine Cathedral on a wonderful travel experience and help our mission for our community. Join us on the Florida AIDS Walk Pride Cruise. This unique 3-day cruise will sail from Miami on the $1 billion and ultra deluxe 170,000-ton MSC Seascape on November 2nd, 2025. The cruise is for the Florida AIDS Walk. Your participation helps 13 vital beneficiaries in our community. The cruise is an incredible value starting at just $199 and is also a fundraiser for the Sunshine Cathedral. Parties, special events, and more aboard, including a special unlimited beverage and open bar with Wi-Fi for all 3 days for just $68. We invite you to join us on this amazing cruise for fun, this vital cruise for good.
We want to thank you for joining us. We are here daily at 3 p.m. to have some fun and discuss what our LGBTQ community is talking about. Sunshine Cathedral is the world's leading progressive queer church. Progressive, queer, and God are words that naturally should go together.
We all are in this together. Remember that.
You are God's miracle, not God's mistake. Until next time, we are the Queer God Squad. Goodbye.